session, and we are now reconvening to our regular session, and we are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you would please join me in standing and reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. We are at item number 4. We have some minutes to approve. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Bevan, please call the roll.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Gavin?
Yes.
Ms. Abachi?
Yes.
4-0.
That takes us to item number 5, hearing of the public. Tracy, do we have anything tonight?
We do not have anything tonight.
All right. We'll move right along to item number 6, which is superintendent's presentation.
All right, thank you, President Orr. We are excited tonight we have 3 great presentations. The first presentation is something we do each and every month, and that is our wayfinding video, helping the district that feels big sometimes feel a little bit smaller so you can understand a little deeper look at it. Tracy, take it away.
Sure. Since 2017, Mason City Schools' partnership with the City of Mason has ensured a strong law enforcement presence in every school through the Campus Safety Initiative. Each year, our Board of Education invests $650,000 to fund this partnership, an investment that not only enhances safety, but also creates meaningful connections between students and officers. The impact of these relationships is powerful, proving that the presence of our officers goes far beyond security. It shapes trust and builds community. In this month's Wayfinding video, we see how these relationships and small moments inspire our comic kids.
Sometimes the smallest conversations spark the biggest dreams. On the very first day of school, an MECC kindergartner asked one of our officers how to become one someday. It's a powerful reminder of the influence our role models have and how big dreams start small.
My name is Sophia and I'm 5 years old. How to be a police officer someday?
Why would you want to be a police officer, son?
To get bad guys. See, kids are doing nice things and being safe.
Exactly. Yeah, she actually, Principal Bly introduced us. I guess she asked Principal Bly if I was going to teach her how to be a police officer on like the first or second day of school. So I talked to her for a few minutes and here we are. I felt that it was a good time for me to come off the road and go into the schools and be a positive influence for some of these young kids. I think it's important to build that positive interaction between kids and police officers. Some kids might think we're scary. Typically when we're called, it's like the worst day somebody's having. And being able to be a positive influence on kids and show them that we're not scary. Just building that positive relationship, I think, is a huge part, especially here at MECC.
Thank you for listening.
We're very welcome.
What a gift. Thank you, Tracy, for that story. And we are just so grateful for our police officers. If you're just tuning in to Mason City Schools, we're fortunate to have a whole team of police officers that work with our students, our staff, our administrators that are in our buildings every day. And they are just a delight to work with, but they also do the serious job of keeping us safe. And so we're just so grateful for Mason City police officers. All right, our next superintendent presentation, we are going to move to recognize an exciting thing that's going on. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Brennan to kick this off, but our EF Tours Global Learners.
Yes, thank you. So this summer was really an exciting new milestone for Mason City Schools as we had our first group of students and staff members going on district-sponsored international trips, and this was in partnership with EF Tours. You'll hear a little bit about them tonight, much more than just a vacation, although they saw all sorts of cool things, but it really was living out our mission of growing leaders, learners, and citizens through purposeful learning, through meaningful experiences, and in a connected community. This was really inspired by one of our strategic priorities of developing meaningful experiences, and part of that's peak moments. And as we set these goals as a community, it raised great questions about how do we expand and make sure each and every comment in all sorts of different ways has opportunities to have these peak moments. So it's absolutely the senior sunrise, and it's homecoming, and it's athletic events. And also, it opened up possibilities to how could it also be international travel or other sorts of unique opportunities. So we're really grateful, our staff, when we sort of had this idea, and we said, who might be interested in spending part of their summer with students on a trip to a place you may never have been before? And we had a number of staff members who raised their hand and said, yeah, that sounds actually like something I absolutely would want to do. And so we're so grateful for them stepping up to that, our families trusting and sort of giving this an opportunity, and really, I think, set a great standard for a program that can continue to grow. Lori Howard, our student activities director, has really been a guiding force and engine behind this all the way. And so I'd like to invite Lori to come up to the podium, and she'll share a little bit more about the international travel programming, and we'll get to hear from other members of our staff and our students.
Hi guys. So like she said, this was our inaugural year, and it was something that we thought a lot about, me particularly, because that is part of my job, right, is to think of things outside of the classroom walls that provide our comments with experiences and learning. So obviously it was right up my alley. I had to sign up. Not doing this ever before. The only international trips I took were with my family, so this was a much larger experience. So we are very fortunate, again, to have the support of the school board and the district behind us, and partnering with EF, so I do appreciate that. Thank you, guys. As you'll hear tonight, memories were made on these trips that we didn't expect. Things came up that we also didn't expect, and we learned from all of those. You'll hear from some students who can tell you directly from their eyes what they saw, what they felt, and what they got out of this experience, which is important. It's important for you guys to hear straight from them, because these trips are student trips. They're not our trips. We want this to be what they want it to be. And we were very forthcoming in our very first meeting that we wanted students to do the research. If you want to take this trip, tell us what you want to see. Tell us what you want to get out of it, and we will ensure to the best of our abilities that that's what happens. So it was really important for us to make this about the students, and definitely not a trip for us, because that was not the case. We wanted them to get their experience. A lot of these families, this may be the only time their kid gets out of the country. And so it was important to know that they made a sacrifice. And so, that we did not take that lightly at all. So as you'll see up here, our first year we took 40 students from grades 7th through 11th. There were 4 trips offered, 8 countries visited, 6 staff members, and we were an average of 10 days away from home. And that's a lot of times a lot the first time. We had students on our trip, which you'll hear about later, who have never flown before. So their first trip was an overnight trip in a plane. But first off, we're going to talk about Japan, and I'm going to introduce Megan and Sarah, who went to Japan.
Okay, hi, my name's Sarah Napier. I'm a teacher at the middle school. I've worked with EF for 2 trips, so the trips are up on the board with my students. Megan went with me to Japan this year, and we took 7th and 8th graders to Japan, which was an experience. So the unique thing that I like, right, just like Lori said, these trips are for the students. And my perspective on this is the students are learning about Japan in 7th grade world history. They're learning about the Holocaust in 8th grade language arts. So to be able to provide them with an opportunity to learn beyond the classroom about things they've already learned about is extraordinary, and honestly an opportunity that most students don't get. So to be able to provide this here at Mason is really meaningful for the students. It's really intentional that we take these trips, and I just thought it was really relevant to them, which is something that the district pushes, which is really awesome. So I'll let Megan talk for a second, but this is just some overviews on this slide.
So, hi everyone, my name is Megan Lobring. I'm a self-contained unit teacher at the middle school. So I have primarily students with autism. So on this trip, what I really saw and what I really focused on was the growth I saw in students' adaptability skills, their communication skills, critical thinking, you know, social emotional. We had a student who at the beginning of the trip was terrified of ordering food by herself. Doesn't speak the language, not sure how to interact. And by the end of the trip, she had Google Translate out, had already looked up the restaurant, knew what she was eating, and said bye to us right when she walked in and went straight in and ordered. So everything that we really preach about Portrait of a Comet, these students had the opportunity to grow and showed us how important this trip was to them, and everything that day took home with them.
So yeah, I think just the last thing to end with this is, obviously, as Lori said, this is not a vacation for us. These trips, EF makes an important point to be intentional with the things that they put in the trip, so they're learning beyond the classroom, stuff that they already know about, but they get to explore it with local experts. So that was my favorite thing, to see them kind of grow as learners. And then obviously Megan talks about them growing as students. So that's my 2 cents.
Good evening, Jeff Schlager here, microphone and all. When they, EF, presented to us trip ideas that we could do, and this is back in the spring of 24, talking about summer of 25. I got really excited because I am in that kind of stage, if you will, that I have about 4 years left working in Mason. Plenty of years left on this earth. 4 years left working in Mason, and I'm in what I call these legacy years. And when I was told that this summit, which you'll hear more about, focused on future readiness in a global world, I was like, I want to leave something behind. I want to help develop my leaders or kids who maybe don't have that leadership mindset yet, bring them. This is these 8, quite an array and a diversity of just personality, of readiness coming in, conversational skills, and they got a lot out of this. So I loved it so much, I'm ready to just go wherever this summit is each year. Next year it's in Costa Rica, okay, that's where I'm going. But to hear more about this, I'm gonna yield the mic. I wanna introduce first, I believe, Chloe Smith, who will then introduce Eliana Charpentier. Thanks.
Hi everyone, my name is Chloe Smith and I'm one of the students who went on the trip this past year. I'm going to talk specifically about the immersive conference that we did. That was a 3-day conference. The rest of the trip was amazing and it was awesome, but that conference was my favorite part. So right when we arrived, we got put in these innovation groups, and it's basically 8 different kids from all different places. And then you. So mine had somebody from Texas, Kansas, Colorado, somebody from Greece. Like, it was just a big variety of people, and they just threw you in a group, and they're like, all right, you're gonna be friends. You're gonna know, like, sit and know each other for the next 3 days. These are your people. Which I found that super cool because I love meeting new people, and it took me to be able to just go in and, like, meet a bunch of new people right off the bat. So the competition was like a Shark Tank style, like, where you, like, get a thing where you have to create a product based off of a problem, and you only had 3 days to make the product. Ours was a, like, necklace that had like a charm bracelet thing on the necklace part of it, because they're like interchangeable, and it's like a fidget toy, and the back of it is a cooling device because it's like a chain, and it's for public speaking. So when you go up and you have job interviews and all this stuff, you can go up and, like, you have this necklace that nobody really knows that it's like a device for you to, like, speak better, but it's there for you to help you. So first you would present and pitch your product to your room, and your room only had 10 groups in it of the 8 kids. So then the winner of each room now made it to finals, and you would present in front of all 800 people, and the winner of that got their product put in the Nobel Peace Prize Museum for the next year, which is crazy. My group made it to finals, which is incredible, but I got to speak in front of 800 people and like show off my product, which was crazy, and I will literally never forget that experience because it was insane to walk up there and be like, oh, this is great, I've never done this before. But it was so fun. And then off of that, there was a bunch of different classes that they had us take that was building leadership skills and everything that I've taken back and now implement in my everyday life here. You also had a bunch of elective classes. Like I was in a breakdancing rap class. That's not me, but it was interesting, but it was fun. And like with that, I made like an incredible amount of friends. Like I could not count how many people I met, and it's people from all over the world. Like people from Madrid and then just New York, but literally everybody. It was so crazy insane. And to talk about the rest of the trip is Eliana.
Hi, my name is Eliana Charpentier. So kind of to build on the conference and that theme of future readiness, we had workshops in the other cities we went to in London and Dublin. We had a communication workshop and then a talk with an AI expert. And then outside of the conference, we were able to expand our knowledge of diversity and immerse ourselves in different cultures. So in each city, we had a guided tour, and we learned about all the main attractions and the history behind them. We ate lots and lots of local food. Most memorable for me was the fish and chips in Wales, and we explored quite a bit. And while we were exploring, we gained a sense of confidence and real-world skills because you're navigating a new city and country kind of by yourself with a group of friends. When we were in London, we navigated to Piccadilly Circus and a few other markets. And then in Dublin, we got to go to the Dublin Zoo and then do some different shopping around there. And one of my favorite highlights about exploring was the beach on the last 2 days. We took a 50-minute walk from our hotel to the beach, and it was like the prettiest thing I've ever seen. So that was really cool. And I also want to touch on the connections that we made. We traveled with 3 other groups from Knoxville, St. Paul, and New Orleans throughout the duration of our 2-week trip. And it was really meaningful because you were able to create long-term connections with people from around the United States, and we all still talk to this day. We have a group chat, and we're talking 3 months post-Europe, so I value that a lot. And lastly, I just want to say it was truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience that I will never forget, so thank you.
All right, Carrie and I went to the Mediterranean coast. We traveled over 5,300 miles and went to Italy, France, and Spain. We made 4 memorable stops, and truth be told, we did have some hiccups along the way. We made it all the way to Canada without having our first hiccup, which was an allergic reaction in the airport.
6 hours in.
Yeah, 6 hours into our trip. Luckily, it was minor. It was the first one we've had in 18 years of working with students, so we're going to call that a win. Our tour director, which is in the middle of this picture here, he leads a very interesting life. He is a medical physician for a small town in the northern mountains of Italy. He was very, on day one, he told our kids, be present in the moment, remember carpe diem, and it was so nice to hear that being echoed because that's what we try to instill in our comments every day. So just to have him also say that to our kids was amazing. Because he didn't know anything about us. He didn't know anything about Mason.
Cincinnati?
So, yeah, Cincinnati or anything. The next slide shows some pictures of our kids. I want you to just take a look at them, and I want to point out that 6 of these students did not know a single person when they signed up for this trip. 6 students in those pictures came on this trip without knowing anyone. We did have pairs of friends, and we had siblings, but 6 of those students did not know anybody. They made a choice in that first part at the airport, in the terminal at CVG, to really think about what they wanted to get out of this trip. And they chose to interact with each other. They chose to join games of Uno and sit down on the floor and just try to make those connections. And they did. And it literally was that easy. I had I'm a planner like you would not believe. I had scavenger hunts for the airports planned. I had bracelet making kits. I had so many things planned in case they didn't get along. You wouldn't even, I didn't pull a single one of them out. So they literally made those connections. They made that choice from the first minute they arrived, and from then on, these kids were great friends. I will say Dunkin' Donuts definitely helped. They all hit Dunkin' right when we got to the airport. I do want to tell you a little bit of a story about one student. One of our students struggled to connect, not on the trip, previous to the trip. And the parents had told us that he was hesitant to go on the trip. He was having second thoughts. He didn't know a lot of people. He just struggled to fit in.
On the way to the airport.
Yeah, on the airport, he did not, he was wanting to turn around. During the long bus rides we had, which could have been with music and bracelet making, we shared meals, and those strangers became friends. And by now, like actually the week before school, I got a call from the parent, and she said he is looking so forward to coming to school. That has never happened. And she was so thankful. I mean, we didn't do anything. We were there to support them. But we see him in the halls now, and he comes and talks to us, and he's always with a buddy. And so just seeing that somebody that isn't a world traveler, that just had a hard time fitting in, had a hard time making connections, has now blossomed into somebody that loves coming to school, that it's not all about academics, that he really just made that connection with some people. That to me is just, it just breaks my heart. I mean, I love it because I'm so happy that he found that and that we were able to assist in some of that. And like I said, we see these kids in the hallways, and it's really funny to see them now because they'll be like, hi, Carrie, hi, Lori. And then their kids are like, how do you know them? And so then they tell this story about how they spent 12 days with us in Italy, France, and Spain over the summer. And so we listen because I'm like, let's just see what they say because you never know. But it is great. And they do seek us out, and it's really heartwarming. I told all the parents, these kids have 2 more people in their corner, and they can come to us if they need anything. So of all the rewarding things, I would say just that, getting those kids that you wouldn't normally have go on an international trip, take this trip and take something so big out of it was very, very rewarding for us. And we also don't take lightly, like I said, the trust that the parents instilled in us to take these trips. This was a sacrifice for a lot of people, for all of us. All of us have parents who sacrifice to let their kids take these trips. And we are just very appreciative that they entrusted us with their students, that we were able to help them make these memories of a lifetime. So we really do appreciate that. All right, and then looking on to 2026, Jeff wants to take this one. We have some upcoming really exciting trips, besides Jeff's Leadership Summit.
I'll be short and sweet again, just talking about some of the trips we have coming up this following summer. So that was a true story that I had. So all of these other trips, except for mine, which should be, there it is, final one, the Panama City, Costa Rica, were like happening. They've been like in the works for a few months. We have some people. Mine, literally, I got off the plane in July 17th and said, I have to do this again. And it's usually like a 16-month prep kind of thing. So I called Amy and Tracy. I'm like, help me out. I have like an 11-month turnaround here. I need people, but this was just incredible, as you heard. So I guess I'll bottom up work it. But so mine will be, I know it's July 5th to 17th. We're hitting Panama City, Costa Rica. The cool thing about these leadership ones, you get itineraries. There's like a menu of them that you pick. Like we had to be in Berlin this summer. That's where the conference was. Coincidentally, I was born in Germany and had never been back. I was a U.S. Army baby and had never been there since I had diapers on. So that was a little kind of cool, but the rest of it was about them. So that's where we're going this year. You wonderful people.
We are doing London, Paris, and Rome. We have we start asking kids way ahead of
Where do you
time.
want to go?
Where do you want to go? What do you want to see? What sounds good to you? And that's basically how both of our trips got chosen, is because we took a poll of every kid that we saw come in our office, and they all wanted to go to Paris. And so here we go.
And then the Galapagos, and I believe Ecuador might be part of that, I could be wrong, is being run by Beth Salenza, one of our high school English teachers, so you know there will be culture, content, and that. I believe Beth, who's a friend of mine, I think all she has left is Antarctica on the 7 continents, and I think that's planned. So you have someone to trust who really knows kids, is a Hope Squad leader, incredible human being. Sound of Europe, that, think Sound of Music, is taking the theme, our orchestra directors, who I had the honor and privilege of going to New York and Carnegie Hall with, so I know that they are just so well planned and amazing. They are hitting spots to go with that journey, and I'm gonna, Austria, I believe, I might mix it up, Switzerland, Germany, somewhere in that neighborhood. And that's Mr. Fry and Miss Jones. And finally, Iceland, which I know nothing about, but it's not ice. Miss Pun, who is one of our ELL teachers here at the high school. Her husband, who might join her, is another school psychologist like me in our building. But to have someone who is, I mean, I was meeting with our ELL supervisor yesterday. She was at our psych meeting, going over numbers in our district that you might know better than me, but it's astounding. It's so amazing how many different languages we have in this district, how many countries of origin we have in this district. So to have someone take your kids and students to Iceland who gets that and understands that, I mean, it's an all-star cast. So that's what's going on. Thanks for listening.
And our
Oh,
last
hold
plug,
on, sorry.
Thursday.
Oh, that's kind of important.
Go ahead.
Thursday night, like 48 hours from now, maybe 46, 6 p.m., Middle School Large Commons. You get to hear about all these trips. There'll be a very interactive slide deck. Anyone interested will get to meet the people going on directing the trips. And yeah, we'll have some sweets and some good ways to talk about us and where we're going. So that's this Thursday.
6 to 8.
18th?
Yes.
Yes, 6 to 8, Mason Middle School Large Commons. Thank you.
And for our third, thank you so much. And thank you for all the families that supported those trips, and for, Lori, thanks for just sharing. You said you didn't do much, but the fact that you're willing to host and organize and think ahead and navigate, we appreciate you. So thanks so much for all you do. Thank you, Dr. Brennan, for bringing that up tonight so we could hear more about our global travels. So don't miss that date, Thursday, 6 to 8. Our third presentation, we are excited because we talk about growing learners, we talk about growing leaders, we talk about growing citizens and serving our community. And so we have the great privilege of hearing from a Girl Scout troop tonight. So I'm going to invite our Girl Scout troop to come forward and tell us about what we need to know about some upcoming events and how we can plug in and get connected.
All right. Hi. I'm Abby Christensen. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Callie Coleman.
I'm Anvita.
I'm Prisha.
Okay, all right. And we are just 4 of Troop 4405, and we run the Comic Cupboard. So those of you who haven't heard what the Comic Cupboard is, we're a food pantry for the school, and we serve Mason's food insecure students. And we give out food packs weekly, and we started with those weekly food packs and rotating monthly entrees to keep the food fresh, so you're not eating the same thing every single week. And then we thought of other things we can help with, other basic needs, so then we helped shift to hygiene, so providing shampoo and soap and other items like that. And then every Friday, we show our Mason spirit by wearing green or just other Mason memorabilia. And we wanted our peers to be included in that and feel included in that. So in the back of that photo there, you can see our whole wall of Mason spirit wear that our students can have. And then To make sure they're nice and warm in the winter, we have coats, hats, mittens, scarves, anything they would need, and we go through a lot of coats. And then to help our kids feel included, we have birthday bags for their special day, and then Valentine's Day cards for all the youngers and in their classes, so they can participate in those Valentine's Day activities. And then something we started during COVID was to hand out recipe bags. And this is where we give all the items they need, and then a recipe card that goes in there, so then they can learn how to make the food. And we do this with our community partners like Shine Like Sable and Crossroads and others like that. And we started with around roughly 25 students, and now we're serving like around 200 every week.
Hi, my name is Callie, and I'm going to be talking about the evolution of the comic cupboard. So in 2018, we adopted the Western Road Backpack program, but then in 2019, we moved it to MI and changed the name to the comic cupboard. There we gave out food, personal items, and spiritware. Then in 2021, we added 2 cupboards to Mason High School. This included school supplies, spiritware, shoes, personal items, and a clothing boutique. In 2022, we added a cupboard into Mason Middle School, including food, personal items, spiritware, coats, and clothing. In 2024, we added 2 in MECC with food, personal items, spiritware, and coats. And then in 2025, we wanted to partner with Dorothy Lane Market for our Take Action project for advocacy. As Amrita is going to share, but before that, I wanted to share my own memory with the evolution of the comic cupboard. I've been here in this Girl Scout troop since the beginning, so 1st or 2nd grade, and I'm in 11th grade now. And I remember very distinctly the first time I walked in to the Western Road Backpack program. If I had to describe it, it would be like a closet, kind of. It was very small, very minimal, and it's really nice to look at what we have now and see how much we've grown and how much we will grow in the future. So yeah, I'm very proud of where we come from then.
Hi, I'm Anvitha. Over the years, we as a Girl Scout troop have always been trying to find more and more ideas to make the comic cupboard more effective for our students. This year, we wanted to make the comic cupboard better, as Callie stated, by taking on another challenge, which is providing perishable food for our families. So we found out about the Dorothy Lane Market and their Good Neighbor program. And they have really bridged the gap for us by providing food like bread, milk, bananas, cheese, and even egg rolls. And these are all foods that you don't normally see in a food pantry. So providing these to our students is a huge challenge and a good goal for us. On Saturdays over at MI and on Wednesdays over at the Central Building, we pick up food from Dorothy Lane Market and organize it in big baskets so that our families can come over and look at them, choose what foods they want every week. And actually, this last Saturday, we have officially given out 1,200 loaves of bread to our families.
So while we are always working to improve the comic cupboard, we've made many improvements. We want to continue to make a difference and really impact the lives of the students that we're helping. So currently as a Girl Scout troop, we've been working on our advocacy journey. And a topic that we really wanted to address was literacy, because we as a Girl Scout troop, we love reading, and it's always been like a foundation in our lives from growing up to now. And what we found when we researched is that there's a big correlation between literacy rates and food insecure students. In fact, some statistics that we found when we researched was that 61% of low-income families do not have access to books in their home, and 45% of U.S. children live in neighborhoods that lack public libraries. And we found that students without exposure to books and literacy often fall behind in school in their classes, and this creates a vicious cycle between food insecurity and literacy. So we wanted to take action by starting to periodically provide books and our food packs for our students from 3rd to 6th grade. We want to work with the Mason Schools Foundation to supply these books, And we hope that by expanding access to reading, we break the cycle between food insecurity and literacy and set students up for success, whether they go on to higher learning. We are very grateful for the support of our district and our community, and we want to encourage others to help too, and we would love your support. So some ways that you can help is that you can sign up to pack weekend or food packs on either the weekends or on journey days, and bring your friends and family and help deliver food packs and pack them as well. And you could also financially support the Comet Cupboard, making a direct donation, which we always appreciate. And something that we are very excited to be hosting is the first annual Spooktacular Costume 5K. So we are working with Shine Like Sable and other amazing foundations to host this. So we would love if you would sign up, dress up in your favorite Halloween costume, bring friends and family. You can decide to run or walk depending on whichever you prefer. And all our proceeds will go to help the Comic Cupboard and the other amazing organizations that we're working with. And thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate your help, and we hope to continue making a difference in the lives of our peers and their families.
We just want to thank you guys for the awesome work you're doing in your Girl Scout troop through the Comic Cupboard. I'm sort of speechless, but I just wanted you guys to know that thank you, first of all, but the work that you do is truly impactful to those families and students who need it. So just deeply grateful that you guys are thoughtful enough to give your time and plan these things and partner with awesome companies like Dorothy Lane to bring perishable food. I mean, amazing. Thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Callie, you mentioned that you're proud of where you've taken the cupboard from when it was at Western Row to what it is today. I'm glad you are, because you should be. You all should be, because you have added such a rich part of our giving culture here in Mason, and this is something that is a part of Mason. It is in our cultural DNA now. And it is because of what you all have done. And I wanted to specifically thank Casey and Brian Moran for all that you do for our entire community. This Girl Scout troop, the amount of work that you've done to serve other students in need has been phenomenal. And Casey and Brian, you're an inspiration to us all. And we will never understand how you do all the things you do in a day. And someday, hopefully, you can bottle up some ways to get that energy to other people. But we just thank you for all the contributions you've made, and you all should be so proud that this is going to live on past you, long past the time when you're in Mason, and we just couldn't be more grateful. Thank you for sharing your experience tonight.
I'm sure you girls don't remember, but one of the first things I did when I was a board member is I came and visited the Comic Cupboard to check it out and just kind of get an idea of what it was, because I'd heard of it. And, walking in there, it was like walking into the North Pole. It was like Santa's workshop, and all these elves were just in there, tinkering away, putting, supplies and food and different things up in these shelves. And, just kind of glancing at it, I just assumed that, this is, district has just this war chest kind of prepper room for, if there's an emergency and we all have to evacuate, and we've got enough, food here to last us for an unforeseeable, amount of time. But over time, and hearing how hard and diligent your troop has worked in particular, it has just blown my mind to see the way you took that closet at Western Row, repurposed it into just this lean, mean serving machine that benefits the people in our community that have the greatest needs, and how it has just been sustained over the course of your time here in Mason. And like Matt said, this is something that's integral to our culture here in Mason now, and Mr. Schlager talked about these legacy years. You don't have to wait to your last 4 years in our district to leave a legacy, and you girls are an example of that, as well as the Morans. And so we are just grateful for you all and for the example that you set for the rest of our district.
And I want you to know you are far-reaching. There's other schools that are housed in Mason, and you touch a lot of lives in those schools too.
So again, thank you. We will take a pause. Oh, we're going to come down and take some photos. We're going to take some photos. We want to give you a little gift. Yes. We can't give you back what you've given out, but... Well, I think the work sort of seems small after all those presentations, but we usually take a pause after the superintendent's presentations for those who came just for that to get on with their evening. But if you'd like to stick around and hear all the things that we are going to work through tonight, please feel free. But we'll take a couple minutes to let you guys out. Okay, so we come back to item number 7, resolutions. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
And Sean, do I read the resolution, or would you like to read the resolution?
So basically what this is that in September of each year, as part of our compliance with Ohio budgetary laws, we put together our appropriations for the year. So this will cover fiscal year 26, which runs through June 30th of 2026. We'll approve these and then submit to the county auditor's office, and it's part of our audit and budgetary processes.
Do we have any other commentary? Seeing none, Sean, please call the roll.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Ms. Abachi?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Oro?
Item number 8, we have a first reading of policy change recommendations, and I think Dr. Cooper will sort of walk us through the first reading.
All right, for those of you out there wondering about policy changes, we do have roughly around quarterly policy committee meetings where board administration come together. We look through policy, we update policies either based on need in the district that needs some language updates or necessity based on law changes. And with the House Bill 96, which was the budget bill that went through, there were several things that needed to be updated in terms of language, as well as a couple other bills. There was one bill, House Bill 8 specifically, that impacted about 11 different policies, and so a lot of its language changes and updates so that we're in alignment with the new updated law. So that's what you'll see here. When you click into each of these, you'll see the current policy and the recommendations for the new policy and what that looks like. So if you have any questions, or if you're out there wondering how does the policy process work, I'm happy to sit with you and walk you through that. It goes through several layers. It is reviewed by attorneys first after it comes out of legislation. Then it goes to it comes to me first. We go through it. We divvy that out to each of our executive team members. They then look at a section of it. I go back through, look at it again, bring our board up to speed. They go through a committee portion of that, and then we bring it here for first reading. The second reading will be in October, and that's when we'll actually vote on it. So, but if anybody has questions in between, happy to answer those.
Yeah, so some of these involve, the parent involvement, pieces of legislation, sex ed, these types of legislation. So Dr. Cooper said, hey, we have this on our website, right, that they can click through.
Access to this, but really if they want to sit down and walk through what those policies mean and read, there's a lot there, but we're happy to walk you through it.
Again, a transparent process that starts with a regular update for the policy that we have, and then trying to make sure that we're compliant with the updated legislation that comes out of Columbus. So second reading will be October. That's when we'll vote on it. So any other further commentary?
Not for me.
We'll move to item number 9, superintendent recommendations, personnel items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Cooper?
Yes. Okay, so with our personnel updates, I'm going to walk through just a couple of highlights. I won't go through every single line with you, but you'll see Tom Morris showing up there at the beginning. He is on here because he is subbing in as an athletic director for a couple weeks to help us out, about a 4-week period, while Mr. Stemple is out. So that's why he is on here again. He did retire, but we're asking him to come back and help us out. So we're grateful for Tom's willingness to do that. Section H, you'll see more substitute teachers coming on. Remember, those guest teachers go through a new designed guest teacher training process, and that's with Dr. Blessing, and I know Eric Messer has helped to support that as well, so we're grateful for them for onboarding folks, and we're aligning that process so that our guest teachers have the best experience possible. So please consider being a guest teacher here. We'd love to have you join us. Section I, if you look at Section I, you'll see on there's something a little different. There's a yoga experience on there. That yoga experience, we actually have money from Anthem, that is our healthcare, that oversees our healthcare, that gives us money for each of our buildings to do wellness work with their staff. And so MECC is doing some wellness work with introducing yoga, making that opportunity open to our staff, which is a great opportunity for our staff to do that. I'm just going to pause there for 1 second. Another neat thing that's not right here, but we have Spark sessions coming up at our upcoming Journey Days that will also have some wellness options for our staff that we're excited about, that you'll hear more about. But I just want to note that these are two different things, but they're both opportunities for our staff. We're excited about meeting their needs in that way. We also have in Section O, we have some salary adjustments. So when teachers continue to advance in their education, we have advancements in their salary as well. And so as they get closer to their Master's plus 30 and beyond, they continue to increase their salary. So these are some adjustments on there. You'll see that we have those from time to time as they complete their coursework. We also have Greg Armstrong in Section S. Greg Armstrong is one of our techs. And we've asked him over the past few years to do some above and beyond work with our data systems. We now have a new data systems support person in place, but Greg has guided that ship, and he's going to be transitioning that, but we're grateful for his work, and you'll see that on there as well. And then in Section AC, toward the end of your list there, National Board Certification is also another recognition for staff members who have been certified in National Board, and they are also receiving additional compensation for their work with that as well. So just different ways that we're supporting staff, supporting learning, encouraging that throughout our organization. I think I will one more. I just got to say one more. Sections AD, and I told you I wouldn't go through all of them, but there are a lot in here. AD, we're just grateful for people who sign up to be site managers, because when we have events going on, which is pretty much 24/7 here, it feels like, we have to have site managers on site to make sure they open the place, lock the place, keep the safety, be a point person. And one of the members on this one is Andrew Maynard, and he is new to us from a district close by, and came to us. We're just so grateful for the energy he brought. He is working at our middle school, but not only is he doing great things in the classroom, but he said, hey, I want to invest in this district and be a part of it, and so can I help out with Friday Night Lights and help you all? And we're like, yes. We have a whole new Friday Night Lights initiative to keep our families giving the best experience. And so if you're ever in the tunnel area during Friday Night Lights, that's Mr. Maynard. Please say hi to him and just thank him for his great work. He's just jumped right in, and we love that investment from our teachers, and it's exciting to see his energy and excitement for connecting with kids at the end of the day. He loves our kids. So those are some quick highlights in that section. Thank you for your patience through that.
Thank you, Dr. Cooper. Any further commentary? Seeing none, Sean, please call the roll.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Badgie?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
4-0.
Moving to item number 10, superintendent's recommendation, action items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Cooper, you're up again.
Okay, several of these items are different agreements that meet the needs of our students that may be beyond what we can do, so you'll see some of that on here. That first one on here, item A, is our Great Oaks appointment. I talked with Annie Droege, and she is a part of our XLP program. She actually contracts through Joe Schroeder. She is going to continue to serve on that. If anyone else is interested in that, I mean, we're open to that conversation always, but she has a nice connection, especially since she's working with our XLP students. She was interested in continuing on with that work. Warren County ESC, again, is an agreement to support students and services beyond what we can provide. Bright Star Care Agreement is actually a nursing program to help support one of our students as well in their medical needs. Red Key, which is item D on here, is an agreement for alternative transportation. Sometimes we have a lot of buses, but we can't meet every single student's needs with our buses, so we do contract in with a van service to make sure we support that transportation need as well. Keys for Success agreement is a music therapy, number E, or letter E there. Music therapy that happens with our students. I've been in there to see it in action with some of our students at SCSF classroom. Really neat opportunity for our students to connect with music and give our students an enriched experience as well. The UCC's program, item F there, is a program that's above and beyond our high school for our students with special needs with UC, continuing their connection to education, which we're excited to be a part of. The BCEC, that is Butler County ESC. There's a lot of acronyms here, but in item G, that is a service for some of our students and to meet their IEP needs. Bright Morning, also high quality personalized professional development. This is for our LEDs. So Bright Morning in item H, helping our LEDs continue in their professional pursuits as well. So LEDs is learning experience designers for everybody tuning in. Those are teachers on special assignments in a leadership role that they've applied for, and we provide professional learning for them through this process. And Dr. Brennan and her team would be happy to answer any further questions about what that looks like, but it's a great opportunity to advance their leadership and how they can coach and impact others and lead others. Item I there, Branching Minds agreement. This is an agreement for a data platform that has all of our data that helps support our decision making when it comes to academic and behavior support with our LCSS programming. You've heard us talk about LCSS, Learner Systems of Support. That program needs a data platform that we can crunch the numbers and look at it and compare things, and this is the platform that does that. Item J, St. Sue does run their like if they're working with a contract, they run those contracts through us, and so you'll see St. Sue on here and some other private schools in our area that will from time to time show up on our agenda. And then items K is Hamilton County ESC. That's an occupational therapist just to sub in because we needed a sub to fill in through December, and so that's an agreement to do that. Item L went through our facilities committee. That's Sayota Services, the Alpha and Omega cleaning services. They are in our buildings mostly in the evenings to make sure that our buildings are ready for the next day, and Todd Petrie and his crew would be happy to answer questions. Their annual contract went up 2.3%, I think, or something. 2.9% from last year. But if you have any specific questions about how that service works, we've been with this Alpha Omega for probably 5 years?
6 years.
6 years now.
Same employee.
Item M is an agreement to approve an Alpha Baseball program. This is basically an independent program that's going to rent our baseball field for the next 3 years. It's about a $20,000 agreement each, and it's a great agreement because a lot of the students that are in this program are Mason students, so they'll have access to this here in our community, but it also is a revenue generating opportunity for us off of our field during the off season. We have been running tournaments there. This will actually slow down. I don't think we won't have tournaments. This will be more of a training opportunity. So those of you that saw tournaments running like 7 a.m.
24/7 over the summer.
Yeah, I mean early in the morning till late at night. Now we're gonna have this. It'll be a little different pace over there. And then I'll turn the last one item in to Sean because it's an adjustment with an interest rate.
This is part of our effort to maintain a competitive interest rate for our student-run bank, the Common Savings and Loan. So basically, it gives us authorizes a window that we can set those rates at. So at the top end, it would be our Star Ohio interest rate. So Star Ohio is a investment opportunity for governmental entities, and so that would be the top that we would be able to offer, and at the bottom would be 1%. So basically, each year we'll use that data and come up with a number somewhere in that range to make sure that we're staying competitive. It's important to stay competitive so we can make sure that students are interested in depositing into the bank, and that allows our students to practice transacting and internal controls and all the things they do there.
Thank you again for listening. Those are all the items for superintendent's recommendations tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Cooper. A lot of support for students through ESCs and other agreements, and I don't know if people recall when we approved the turf for the baseball and softball fields, we were looking at these rental agreements as an offset, right? So that we are generating revenue as we expend money to have the best facilities in Southwest Ohio. So that being said, Mr. Bevan, please call the roll.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
4-0.
Thank you. We are now at item number 11, Treasurer's Report. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Bevan.
A few things to approve tonight. Item A is approval for some new funds. And governmental accounting, we do use fund accounting, so we have some new funds that we're creating. One of these is for the junior class. So the junior class will use this fund to track revenues and expenses as they have money coming and going for things like prom and those kinds of things. The other two are actually new parent booster accounts, one for Science Olympiad, one for water polo. One of the things that we do offer in our office, and we have this already with a lot of different groups, is we offer the opportunity for parent boosters to run all of their accounting transactions through our books. One of the groups that actually does it is Comet Cupboard, and so it's kind of a service we provide for our community where we will handle all those ins and outs and all those internal controls and all those processes. So we're creating two new accounts for those groups. Items B through D are actually B through E are part of our monthly financial reports. These are for the month of July. Item F is our certificate of resources. So this is basically the revenue side of the ledger. Earlier in the meeting, we approved the appropriation resolution, which is the expense side. This one is actually on the revenue side. Item G is donations. I'm always grateful for donations we receive from community partners and people. And the last one, item H, is just approval of a contracted service as part of our enrichment program that we offer at some of our buildings for providing opportunities for students after school.
Thank you, Sean. Any comments? Seeing none. Mr. Bevan, please call the roll.
Mr. Orr?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Galvin?
Yes.
Mrs. Batchy?
Yes.
4-0.
And now that we are a month into school, we have a robust committee report. So we're at item number 12, committee reports. So we will start with arts and activities.
Yeah, we approved a number of trips, including a few that were earned. Our dance team will be heading to nationals again, as well as our cheer team. will be heading to nationals again, and our Science Olympiad has also earned some trips that they will be headed on. We also approved a number of others from Model UN. And then a number of clubs, both at the high school level and the middle school level, but one that I thought you would be particularly excited about, that I thought was phenomenal, is a new club called United Sound. And this is an idea that students with intellectual disabilities and developmental disabilities will be able to pick out instruments, and they'll have peer mentors who are being mentored on how to teach students from Avius and Stephanie. And then those students will all, with their typically developing peers, they'll do a joint concert at least once this year. I think this is phenomenal, and it's really, just as in line with all of our other clubs, this came from a student who saw this as a need to have his classmates be able to play instruments with them. So excited about that club, United Sound.
That is phenomenal. That is phenomenal. Thank you, Tracy. Athletic Council.
Yes, Athletic Council, we did go through some of the budget just to see where the budget is. That prompted some conversation about a future, more robust conversation that Sean Bevan's going to join us for, just to look at how do we continue to balance the budget in a way that's going to help us into the future, because we have such a large D1 program. We want to make sure that we're providing all the necessary resources for that. So that was one big conversation. We also got an update on just how we went to a little different model with our middle school football program, and so just got an update on how that's going. It's a work in progress, I would say. The whole intent and spirit behind that was to open more opportunities for kids to play, but not every school is as big as us, and not every school has like multiple teams for middle school football. So we're looking at that and reviewing that to see if that's something we want to take a closer look at in the future.
We now have green and white for 8th and 7th grade.
Yeah, it's like so you have
2 levels.
Yeah, so it gives kids more time on the field, but sometimes other schools they don't have a second team, so other schools are bringing maybe their first team in. So it's just that we're just trying to figure that out. And the whole idea, the hope is that more kids have opportunities, but we want to do that well for all kids as well and make sure we're safe in that. Another conversation came up about our coaches. We are so fortunate to have so many coaches. I mean, if you're ever, I get the great privilege a lot of times to stand on the sideline, and I hear the coaches. I was at the soccer game the other night, and I hear what the coaches are just like right in the moment, and how they're coaching their kids to stay calm in the moment, to keep their focus, to own the moment, and how they encourage kids when they're down. And so we have so many great coaches, but the coaches have to go through about 11 different trainings just to come on to be a coach. There's like these certification trainings. Those cost a lot of money. So we looked at a program and a platform there that was introduced to us for us to consider whether we should move forward on that, which would cover the cost of those trainings so that our coach, it would remove a barrier for our coaches to move forward in that. And fortunately, we had a good conversation in our work session tonight about potentially moving forward on that platform to help with supporting our coaches in that. Those are the main things. Anything else I missed? I don't think so. Good.
Thank you. And we'll move to Facilities Committee.
Yes, we actually our first meeting of the year, and I love having these. It's the first time Mr. Galvin had been there, and Mrs. Yingley's been on there for years, so always great discussion, and it's great to work with a board that's so actively engaged in what's happening with our facilities. The 3 points we really discussed is we're looking at the high school cafe for a bit of a renovation that will be paid out of nutrition, and nutrition is run separately with USDA rules and things of that nature. But it is, when people think Mason High School, they just remember it was yesterday in their minds that it was built. Well, the building's coming up on, I think, 24 years old. So it is, it's time to be looking at, do we still offer what we need in the facilities to move things forward? And the high school, while it is absolutely beautiful, it is that time to start looking at the future and how this beautiful structure can serve instruction in a better way. So the high school cafe is being looked at for renovation. We also discussed MECC pavement. Believe it or not, that building is at the point that needs its first repavement. And then our other buildings will be looking at more of the seal coat as well. And the good news is all of our other buildings, for the most part, have new pavement. So just again, the support from the board to be able to maintain our facilities like we deliver education has been great from the COO's role, that's for certain. And then lastly, the outdoor classroom with Mr. Tim King. Man, when you talk Mason, just the history of Mason, of why Mason has become the community it is, he's part of that discussion. And being able to work with them, it's one of the first teachers I ever met that I was like, I've never met you, can I shake your hand? I've heard nothing but great things about you. He says, well, I'm not a celebrity. And I said, well, you are today. So he is working hard on our outdoor classroom at Mason Intermediate, and a group of teachers who have been working on that as well. And it's one of Mr. Messer's first projects, as we found we were putting some old trees and things out there from the past. And I said, Eric, this is a great opportunity for you to shine, get it set up so we can get all that removed. So he's worked closely with them, and we will be looking at possibly some small paved paths. We learned at MECC that we did a paved path there. I think the foundation actually paid for it. And to go and watch after you do construction and see a special needs students in a wheelchair go out into the field for the first time and be part of the kids playing, and if you've seen kids play kicking balls and just out there in the middle of it, it was some of the best money spent since I've been here. So we hope to see the same with the Nature Center and be able to provide a pathway for all of our students, no matter what, to go out and enjoy nature.
Thank you, Todd. That's a robust update. We'll move on to the Mason Schools Foundation. Tracy?
We approved one of our biggest recognition awards, which is our Founders Award, but I'm not going to blow it by letting you know. What I am going to do is say, we had, again, we're so fortunate in this community to have several community members who, any of them would have been phenomenal. So it took us a really long time to determine who should be this year's Founders Award, to follow in the footsteps of Ken and Joan Campbell and what they have meant to this district. But you all will have a chance, because we can all determine what is our little legacy that we want to give. And you can see who that Campbell Family Founders Award winner is. You can come and enjoy the night at our Mason Schools Foundation Gala, which is going to be October 25th. It is going to be right here in the Dream Center. I have had people ask, what do you wear? And I say, of course you should wear green, but if you don't want to wear green all over, a black dress and a little green, or a green tie will be just fine, or go out and splash it all up. It's a night to light up green. It's going to be so much fun, and the committee has been hard at work. I was meeting with the DJ before this meeting to just go over what it's going to feel like and look like and be in the Dream Center space. It's going to be great. So lots of important planning that's been happening, and our team has been doing a phenomenal job. And I know many of you are coming, and so just a big plug. Many of the folks in the audience are coming, and board members as well. And so we just want to expand that. If you didn't yet get your personal invitation to the gala, let this be your personal invitation. It is open to every single person. And if for some reason you can't make it, you can still bid on our silent auction.
I feel like if we give Tracy just a little more time, she's gonna let something slip. She's gonna let a clue.
Keep talking. Keep talking. Our public information officer would never. So we'll move right along to policy committee.
Policy, I updated you earlier on the process of the policy committee, and so just that's essentially what we do during policy committees. We go through every single one of those 22 recommendations, and our team does a great job of summarizing all the updates, and we make sure that if there's any questions or clarifications that we make those corrections before we bring it here for first reading.
Thank you, Jonathan. And finally, we will conclude with student achievement, last but not least.
Yes.
Thank you. So it's also our first meeting of the year, and so it took a little bit of time just to get to know our new members. We have each year representatives from our PTOs from each of our buildings, so those members rotate, and so wanted to make sure we had a chance to get to know each other a bit. And then we spent most of our time in a follow-up in sharing plans for our student journey days, which the committee had given some really great input around last year, in last fall, and how we've been able to respond to that. Some of that was really about the importance as we look to student journey days of preparing students well in the classroom and in school, and then making sure that they're coming back and sharing what's happening at the end. And so we've had really incredible teams at each of our buildings putting a lot of thought into that, and also have identified a unified platform that will start in 3rd grade called School Links that will be the place where students are recording their journeys, recording their goals, and being able to come back to those to reflect on them over time. It's actually something that started at our high school. Our board approved our investment in it last year. It replaced what previously at the high school had been called Naviance, which is sort of a classic career college readiness platform. It's what our counselors use to send off letters of recommendation and so on. And our counselors here at the high school saw that there was really an opportunity to improve upon that system with School Links. Some of the benefits are that at the high school level, but actually going all the way to 3rd grade, it provides opportunities for students to engage in learning and reflection about themselves, their strengths, their interests, and then also careers that can connect to that in ways that are really developmentally appropriate for students at each age level. As I mentioned, they can keep their goals in there, track them, and that will follow a student all the way through their career here as a Mason student. So you can imagine over time, you could have that senior who's looking back and seeing how maybe an interest ebbed and flowed or grew over the course of their career and can track that. The other big positive of School Links is that parents also have an account. So Naviance, it was really just a student account. School Links, parents can also access it. They can see everything that their student has done. They can't do any of the work themselves, but they can also track that journey. And so we had an opportunity to get in to the platform to show all that it can do, from those assessments to someone's thinking about college, it can show how our Mason students do in terms of entry at all sorts, at every place that they're applying to, all sorts of great data in there. And so got also some really great feedback about how do we share this more broadly with families, what's valuable to them to help to take it to that next level.
That's really good. Thank you, Dr. Brennan. And so I think that brings us to item number 13, legislative update.
You know, I don't have any major legislative changes right now. We do have some legislative meetings coming up on the books. I did have one interesting call while I was on the call with you in preparation for this meeting.
Yep.
And there is a group that the governor's put together called I think it's the tax reform school funding group of some sort. But I can't remember how many members are on that group, but they called and asked if we would give them some input. So they are asking for our thoughts on how to do that. We are fortunate to have a member that we know well. I know several of the members on that board, but we have someone from Warren County, our auditor, Matt Nolan, that sits on that group. And so it's great, and we're fortunate to be able to be invited into that conversation. I don't know where that's going to go. I don't want to make any major promises, but we will definitely give them our honest feedback from a local community on how important it is that we are carefully thinking through how schools are funded so that it doesn't cause more burden to the taxpayers, but it also allows us to make local decisions thoughtfully. So we'll make sure we communicate that, and I'll update you as I learn more about that.
I think that governor's working group is looking at property taxes.
They are definitely looking at property taxes, but we're going to think through if they're going to do that. We need some alternative, creative thinking of how to support public schools.
Indeed. I'm glad you got that phone call. So that will move us into item number 14, administrator commentary. And we will start with our Public Information Officer, Tracy Carson.
Thank you. We've just entered the beginning of Hispanic Heritage Month. It started yesterday, goes through October 15th, and as part of our I love having Soraya Smith in the audience today. One of the original architects of kind of deciding as a district a beautiful metaphor that we had used in literature of mirrors and windows, Dr. Rudine Sims Bishop, and now we have kind of cultivated that to mean what does that look like as events, so that we are have opportunities for members of our community, for our students, for our staff, for residents, anyone to see themselves and to see others in our events. And so we have a fantastic Hispanic Fiesta coming up on October 8th at Mason Intermediate School, filled with all the kinds of things that we have now come to think of as the recipe that really works. Take it crafts and literature and delicious food sponsored by the Mason Schools Foundation, and dancing and delightful student performances. So mark your calendar for that. And I'm so glad the Girl Scouts were here to also plug Spooktacular, which October 18th, I'm looking forward to figuring out our family costume for that and getting ready to do our 5K.
Thank you, Tracy. We'll move on to Dr. Brennan.
Yeah, thank you. Just a few things. So one more plug for our International Travel Night that's happening on this Thursday at the middle school starting at 6. Really, if a family's even thinking about, is this something that might be a good fit for our family, it's a chance just to come and learn a bit more and to hear directly from each of the tour leaders to get a better sense of what it's all about. So come check it out if you're thinking about it. The window to register will be closing soon. So sooner than later, and I know families need to plan as well. Dr. Cooper mentioned our Journey Day, and I mentioned a little bit in terms of our Student Achievement Committee. Just want to express my excitement for our first Journey Day, both for students and for staff. That's coming up next Friday, September 26th. For our families, I will say, you can expect there's been some information that's gone out in our newsletters. You'll be hearing and you'll get a talking points message later this week. There'll be information in the newsletter that has all of the details. And your students in their universal experiences, whether that's Launch, Rise, Lift, Crew, or Connect, Tracy's pulling it up now, they will also be getting prepped and ready for this day. We have really tried to make this, we've been really trying to follow the mantra of meaningful for students and manageable for families. So we hope that's true, and we'll be certainly looking for feedback along the way just to continue to grow in that. I want to thank all of the teams of educators at every one of our buildings that has put a lot of thought into how to make this meaningful for students. You can see our modified Journey Day choice board as well there, that led by Jody Bergman. Our special education team has put a lot of thought into also to make sure that every learner really has a way to engage in our Journey Days. And for our staff Journey Days, I mean, I'll be able to come back in October and share, but just, imagine we have over 1,200 staff members, every single one of our staff members here at the high school, and all engaged in learning that they have chosen or they have given feedback to say, this is what I need. We have dozens of our staff members who are facilitating and leading this learning. Dr. Cooper mentioned our Spark sessions, and that's everything from, we've got a large group signed up already to go with Tim King and go actually see the Outdoor Wellness and Learning Center for themselves and think about what that could mean for them or their students. We have sessions on connecting with our multilingual families. We have sessions on sort of thinking about your own financial wellness. So all of those, that range of experiences for our staff, and it has definitely taken a village from our teacher side. Just a lot of appreciation to Shauna Buemiller and Chrissy Huffnagel, who've done just a lot of the behind the scenes logistics and supported our LEDs, who Dr. Cooper mentioned, who are leading pathways. From the classified staff side, Eric Messer, Todd Petrie, Dan Little have really done a lot of legwork to make sure that when we say all staff, we mean all staff really will be able to engage in that meaningful learning. So we're excited to see where this first Journey Day takes us.
That is.
Oh, sorry, I have one more thing.
Please.
I'm sorry.
Please.
I did also just want to acknowledge and celebrate our report card results. You know, we know that it is not the only thing that defines us. You think about just all of the students and the staff we heard from today. There's such a rich variety of experiences that are not represented on that report card at all. But we also recognize that it reflects just a lot of dedication and commitment from our staff, from our students, from supportive family members, and want to just take a moment to celebrate that as well.
Indeed. Thank you, Dr. Brennan. Dr. Blessing.
Good evening. Just a few things. Of course, wonderful presentation by our high school students for their EF tours, and Dr. Brennan and her team. It's so great to hear those stories, and what an amazing group of Girl Scouts those young ladies are, and it's so great to see what they do at the Comic Cupboard. Just some exciting things that we had just almost 2 weeks ago. We did a paycheck distribution to all of our new staff. That was so fun. Thanks to the executive team and all the building staff who helped recognize our new staff members in their first official paycheck as a Comet. So that was a great success. I think we're going to continue. Todd thinks it's a good idea, and we'll leave a legacy. We'll invite him back for that. How's that sound?
I was thinking about the last paycheck.
Oh yeah, that's right. He did it.
And it needs to be on time. By the way.
Catch that one right.
They're telling me I have to forfeit a day.
You're going to have to pick that one up, Todd.
Call them the state. They made these rules up.
And then we are looking, Mr. Messer and I are hoping to connect with a lot of our new staff at the first Journey Days during some Spark sessions, so we can check in on the new staff and see how they're doing and make sure they have everything they need, and continue to support them at the beginning of their legacy as a Comet. So thank you.
Thank you. Christine?
Yeah, the Journey Days are certainly a theme we've been thinking about a lot, and I want to thank the Learning Experience team for all of their work that they put in. It's a really exciting time. My daughter already has 4 terrariums in preparation for Journey Day. She has decided she's going to do ecosystems. So yeah, I don't know how many more we'll have by the time 26 occurs, but I thought of a new title tonight for Lori Howard: Portrait, Provider, and Promoter. Alliteration, we couldn't put skills in there, but she truly does. She helps with all those after-school activities. She is helping to coordinate community quests, which is part of Journey Day, and then she also is helping with this international travel. So we could see tonight just the passion that she pours her heart and soul into that, and we're just really lucky to have her on staff.
Agreed.
I just wanted to comment on the campus security wayfinding moment this evening. Since I think it was actually Dr. Cooper's first year that correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that it was, and he and Mr. Hanson, the city manager, developed it, and then we all worked together. But of all the things, about 8 years ago was the onset of where school districts really had to ramp up their safety. And the support from the board to be able to, I think it was quoted $650,000 a year to support having 1 officer in each of the building and 2 at the high school, plus a lieutenant to oversee the program, who then communicates with Jonathan and I on a daily basis. I just can't say enough about the city of Mason and the way the police are trained here. It's incredible. You know, after January, they'll still be my friends. Matt Hayes, who was the first lieutenant to oversee campus security, we're still good friends. We talk all the time. And then Jeremy Saylor, who is the second person, and now I think the assistant chief. I'm not positive on that. But it just goes to show the folks that are the officers with our kids each day are as equally, I would say, superior as our teachers are as they work with kids. But we have great people in front of our kids. And one of the things that's always given me peace is if we do have an event, we're prepared with the officers that we have. And one of the things that I've liked that the city does is every 3 years, the police officers rotate so they keep them fresh and in tune with what happens on the streets, so that when they're in the building, they stay sharp and they're able to handle things quickly. A lot of districts fall into the category of, well, once you're an SOR, you're always an SRO, which honestly now in the beginning, because our kids and staff would build relationships with the police so fast in the buildings, when they moved them, it was like, oh my gosh, it's going to be devastating. But now I understand. And we just are so lucky to have the folks that we've been able to work with and support from you all, and of course from Dr. Cooper.
Thank you, Todd. Mr. Bevan?
Just want to express gratitude for our staff and volunteers that just provide so many opportunities for kids and families and other staff members. Just on tonight's meeting, the international tours and just all the hearing about the experiences of these kids and how they're creating lifetime moments and memories that they'll never forget. A big thank you to Brian and Casey Moran and all the Girl Scouts. That's really a well-oiled machine, and I'm always, as Matt mentioned, I'm always amazed at how much work they do and how many lives they touch. So thank you to them. And then a big thank you to all the staff that have worked so hard to plan this first Journey Day. It's really been amazing to see how much collaboration and work and passion is going into putting on a conference in this district for 1,200 staff members, and the work of the staff who are going to be putting on those sessions and the staff who are planning those sessions. And so just a big thank you to all of them.
Thank you, Sean. Dr. Cooper.
All right. I think before we get together again next time, I think we have homecoming. Big homecoming celebration. So I know there's a lot of HOCO stuff going on out there. People getting their plans together. So exciting times in our world in the fall. Couple just real quick updates. One is today is International Tech Day. International They recognize, well, maybe not international, might be national. Did I just make that up? International?
You can go with it.
Go with it. Go.
I just took it to another level, so maybe. Sorry, I don't know where I was going, but we just so grateful, Christine, for you and your team. I know that you have a team of amazing people. I know it's not a huge team, but it's a mighty team, and they do amazing work. Just imagine if you had to support, I don't know how many devices we have here, but
Over 20,000.
over 20,000 devices. Every room has Wi-Fi that we just take for granted. I mean, everything just, for the most part, works. There are moments here and there, but that is like everything in life. And when it doesn't, they're just quick and gracious to come and try to work on those things. But it is we're just so grateful for you and your team. So please pass that on to your teammates. We'll celebrate them as well. But it is a great day. Thursday night, travel EF tours, right? 8 o'clock? Okay, great. Brewing Up Conversation. So before you go to that, at 8 a.m. in the morning, we're going to be out there brewing up conversations at Cocoon Coffee. This will be the first one of the year. And we have a new format for those of you that are just sitting there waiting and wondering what is going on. I cannot wait to get to the coffee. We are actually going to be doing highlights from around the district. So we are bringing Tim King, third time we've mentioned him tonight. I think you get a bonus when you get 3 times in one night, maybe, I don't know, or at least a high five. Tim King is going to be highlighted at the coffee talking about our new outdoor wellness and leadership program, the OWL program, everything from what Mr. Petrie talked about with the accessibility pathway out to it, and then some of his big dreams and how it's going to connect with the great work that you heard with our teaching and learning and things going on there. So we're so excited about that. I'll say, if you listened tonight closely, you heard great examples of culture, which is really important. You heard Jeff Schlager talk about culture. You heard us talk about culture and how that impacts. You heard kids talk about culture. You heard us talk about personalized learning, whether they're global and they're choosing where they want to go. And I love hearing Lori say, we chose the trips based on what the students wanted. And then you have personalized opportunities coming up with these new Journey Days, which is exciting, and personalized learning for our staff. And you heard inclusive excellence. Loud and clear tonight that we are a district that is standing strong with inclusive excellence, making sure our kids have access to everything they need, and that means one size fits one. And so we were really intentional about doing that. So those are our 3 big rocks, by the way, just to make sure if anybody didn't pick up on that. All right, that's it for me.
I think we saw our tech in our work session work, where you picked up the phone and you figured it out. And so,
did.
you know,
And they're great. They took the
always
call.
on demand, always on demand. So, no, we love our tech department because they do keep us running. So that brings us to item number 15. And I think I'll start with the youngest ever elected school board member, who is not so young because he just had a birthday last week. She just had a birthday last week, so happy belated birthday.
Thank you. September is one of my favorite months of the year, not just because it is my birthday, but it feels like you kind of languish all summer with the Reds baseball season, just kind of stringing you along, and then hope springs eternal with the turning of the page and fall sports and everything like that. Typically, this would be a meeting where I just go through the highlight reel of things that we've got going on in the district, lots of, activities and sports, because there's so much to highlight and there's so much to be excited about. But I'm going to just take a departure tonight from my usual shtick, because since the last time that we had a school board meeting, we've had a couple of school shootings in this country. We've had Annunciation Catholic School in Minnesota. We had Wintergreen High School in Colorado. The first year that I was elected, I think fall of 2017, that February of 2018 was the Stoneman Douglas High School shooting in Parkland, Florida. And I remember vividly one of the work sessions that we sat in upstairs talking about ways to harden our schools, harden our buildings. Remember, we actually had a visitor at one of those work sessions, Tanisha A.G. Bell, and in a departure from some of her normal comments, she was actually commended the board and the work that she observed during that work session publicly. Somebody can go back and check the tapes on that. I'm pretty sure I remember that. But over the weekend, somebody approached me and asked me about what are we doing as far as security, what are we doing? And I mentioned to them that was one of the first things that was on my plate as a board member. And every time an incident like that happens, it is something that we as a district, we as a leadership team revisit and examine. And we look at how did it happen there and where might we see opportunities to improve our own protocols and things like that. So I was very appreciative of our superintendent's presentation tonight, highlighting the relationships that our campus security team have with all of our buildings. I think that's so crucial and a reason that we enjoy that sense of safety and security here in Mason. And it's a unique partnership that we have with our city. It's a unique benefit that all of our learners have, all of our staff have, to have that familiar face in the buildings and that heightened level of awareness and understanding of things going on. I think that kind of pivoting from the importance of that work that we do, we had our high school football tailgate weekend a couple weeks ago, and walking around the crowd, that's always a fun night, getting to see the community come out to that. It was the same night as the first night of the St. Susanna Festival. It's one of the last local parish festivals in the area, and so it was fun to start my night at that tailgate and then go over to the St. Susanna Festival and realize how many people in our community swim back and forth between those communities. I think a lot of times the rhetoric and the discussion around the public school funding formula, the school choice platforms and politics that we deal with in Ohio kinds of has a way of siloing us as different communities that are pitted against one another sometimes. But it was very apparent, in just a matter of minutes, going right around the corner from Mason Middle School parking lot over to the St. Susanna parking lot, how many of our teachers, how many of our students are parishioners over at St. Sue's. We voted on an item tonight to support St. Susanna in their intervention specialist. And it's just a reminder of, regardless of the choice that parents in our communities make about the education for their kids, our school district supports more than just the kids in our building. It supports more than just the staff in our building. It supports our overarching community. And likewise, institutions like St. Susanna, other religious institutions in our community support the people in our buildings in ways that help us get through tough times and help us lean on our faith in tough times. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that shared humanity that we have, regardless of whether we're wearing uniforms to school or whether we're not, and also acknowledge last week the assassination that took place at Utah Valley University of Charlie Kirk. I know that there are a lot of figures in our national politics and people who have sort of a polarizing effect on people. I would put Charlie in that category, but I think that there's also from what I have personally seen and observed in our community, a lot of people who appreciate, regardless of where they agree or disagree with some of the positions he took, people appreciate the magnitude and the gravity of somebody being on a college campus at an event and holding discussions in a way that can be controversial, can be confrontational, but ultimately is intended to engage in dialogue and challenge ideas and stuff, and being killed for that. And it is the opposite of what I think people go to college for, of course. I think it's an attack on American exceptionalism and the things that our country was founded on. And I think it's something that, as we prepare Comets to graduate, it's incumbent on us as a district to look at those skills, those enduring human skills that we as a board, we as a leadership team, we as a community have collectively committed to empowering and equipping each of our students with. And one of those is communication. And I'm very proud of the work that our district does. And I can speak personally to this in personal examples of my own kids, my daughter, some of the speech and debate opportunities that she's had just as a fourth grader already. Last year in one of her classes, debating things like whether plastic is a essential, component of modern living, modern society. Engaging in having that argument, having that debate with her classmates, and seeing them kind of tackle topics and not take it personally. Be able to articulate, use logic, use reason, and work through those differences, those different perspectives. And then this summer, right before school started, our high school students, our high school teachers, building into kids as, again, young as fourth grade, with our speech and debate camp, equipping those kids with the skills that they don't know right now they're going to need, but it's going to compound and it's going to benefit them as they go through each grade after grade. So I'm just so grateful that we get to do this work as a board, and we get to support all these great things, and at the same time we don't take for granted that all of these great things that we celebrate and highlight every month, it's because we live in a community that trusts the work that we do as a board, trusts that we will put the safety and the security of students at the highest of priorities every day, because without that, all this other stuff, it just doesn't, it doesn't matter. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Charles. Desiree?
Well, well said, Charles. I think you spoke to a lot of our hearts in your comments. I also wanted to point out, as Todd did, our relationship and our blessing really to have Mason's law enforcement in our buildings. They are probably one of the most professional law enforcement agencies I've ever met, and I've been around a lot. And they are well-trained, very professional, and they are so particular about hiring people that represent our community, and I think, and the standards that we hold them to. So I'm so thankful for our partnership with them, as well as our Deerfield Township Sheriff's Office. I could say the same thing about them. In addition to that, and there's so many things we touched on tonight, but I just wanted to highlight our Girl Scouts. What an amazing group of young ladies. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, to come out and support our community in ways that I think maybe some people don't even realize there's a need there, and there is a need there. And sometimes they're hiding in the shadows, and they fill that niche so well. I probably couldn't say enough. So those are the two things I wanted to highlight tonight, along with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I know it affects the younger generation a lot, so just be careful with your words. You know, we've got a lot of, like my daughter, it really affected her, so sorry. I think that it's probably affecting a lot of our, you know, younger people in our community. So I think to support them and prop them up and just be thoughtful in the words you use. That's all.
Well said, Desiree. Thank you. Matt?
Yeah, so Jonathan, you mentioned that tonight's meeting could have been a really effective commercial for our Three Big Rocks. You saw them sprinkled out throughout the meeting in various ways. I think it also could have served, especially the superintendent's presentations, a very effective commercial for our community partners and the support that our amazing broader community gives to what is happening in our schools and in the experience of our students every single day. So and I think especially with the Comic Cupboard presentation tonight, you heard all the connections with so many community partners. So as one of the Girl Scouts was mentioning about literacy, my ears perked up and thought about the connection between poverty and lack of books at home, and what the work that the Mason Schools Foundation has been doing in partnering with the book bus to make sure that disadvantaged kids have books to take home with them over the summer. And sure enough, I look up and they're making reference to the Mason Schools Foundation and a partnership on that front as well. And then they have their spectacular 5K coming up on, again, we'll say it again, October 18th, and partnering with the Shine Like Sable Foundation. So it's not just those foundations, the people who lead those foundations who are making things happen. In fact, they couldn't do the things that they do without the support and generosity of our community. And there are two really great opportunities coming up in October to get plugged in and help make good things happen for our students and support what's happening in our buildings and outside our buildings in our students' lives. The other one being the Mason Schools Foundation Gala on October 25th. Tickets may sell out, so make sure you get them as soon as you can. So I just wanted to take a minute and just say again, I'm so grateful to live in a community where we have so much support for all of our learners. And all those experiences, as you mentioned, Charles, we recognize the humanity in our students, and that we're not just here to teach people academics, we're here for the students' experience. And speaking of humanity, it's a weird time because I usually wouldn't want to talk about a national event. In this setting, I think that most political things are left for different arenas than a local school board, and so they're separate work. But I think this is a really fraught time, I think, for our country, and I think that it requires leaders to speak to the humanity of all of us. If you are a follower of Christ, the tradition is that we believe that we are all humans are made in the image of God. All humans are made in the image of God, not Democrats, not Republicans, not independents exclusively. We are all made in the image of God. Everybody has worth. We live in a country where the First Amendment is paramount. The First Amendment, the freedom to think and to speak your mind. without that, we have nothing. And yet we're at this time where, through many different influences, individuals are unfortunately having just whatever is motivating them, this horrific instances of evil where they believe that their freedom to think a certain way trumps another person's freedom to think and act a certain way, so much so that they would take their lives. And I just think that there is a bit of a vacuum on our national leaders speaking to the very basic truth that political violence is unacceptable, period. Dying because of the way you think or the things that you say or the opinions that you have is un-American and unacceptable. And I just want to go on the record as an elected leader, as somebody who does represent a large swath of fantastic community members, that I truly believe that is to be the case, and that it is imperative that we leaders speak to that. This is just a moment where I think that when other people are not speaking in that same way, and I know that we all feel the same way, that some of our national leaders have a platform where they could be saying that is unacceptable, period, no matter who you are, where you come from. And along those lines, I mean, there's been too much political violence. It's been too much in the United States for a very long time. And in fact, this summer, Melissa Hortman, a leader in the Minnesota legislature, was gunned down in the privacy of her own home and shot and killed. And so I think it's terrible. It's unacceptable, full stop. Again, I don't usually take the opportunity to speak that way or speak about national events that way, but I think this is one of those times where it requires us all to speak up. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt. First of all, as you can see, our colleague Connie Engling's not here, and I just want to wish her a speedy recovery, and I hope she feels better, because I know how much she loves this work and has committed an inordinate amount of time in her life and her family's life to doing this work. So Connie, feel better. The word legacy got used a lot in this room, and more than used, it was demonstrated. I grew up and have had a myriad of educational experiences available to me and my siblings, probably beyond that of our similarly situated economic, racial peers. But the ability to provide our students all the opportunities to serve, to lead, to grow, to learn in this district, I would say is unmatched. The number of human beings who are connected and love the staff and students in this district and will go above and beyond out of their way to make sure that those students have those opportunities and experiences is unmatched. And so I'm grateful that my colleagues have spoken to some of the things that we have seen nationally that are impacting our community. And so what is national does become local. And I would posit, for me, the antidote for a lot of this is learning. And we don't value what it means to learn. We want people to be educated, but that doesn't mean that we learn. And there is learning that happens in a book. There's learning that happens in a classroom. But what we try to do in this district is provide the kids opportunities and the staff members opportunities to learn outside of these academic walls, because you can learn what is in a textbook and recite it, but if you cannot apply it, you haven't learned. There is no knowledge. And so as we talk about the characteristics that we hope that we build into our comments as they graduate, citizenship, leadership, communication, empathy, understanding, it is because that we want to facilitate opportunities for them to express those things. And so as I serve in this district, I am grateful that our students get to practice what they are learning with a diverse array of people. When you're building an outdoor learning experience, we talk about paving pathways so that all students, because all means all, can have access to not just learning in a classroom, but they can go out and apply it. And I think as we look at the myriad of ills that befall our nation, most of them can be solved with learning, with actual putting into practice those things which we believe, putting into practice those things which we are educated on. And if we do that in community, because that's the key, right? Not everybody is going to be like me. If I can learn to have those speech and debates with people who don't share my life experience or perspective, I can grow as a human being. And that doesn't mean that I am swayed to then become what they are, but then I can do this thing that's called empathy, which is to put myself in a situation that I maybe have never been in, to say, you know what, that might hurt, that might sting, that might not work. And so it isn't that I change who I am or my core beliefs, but I can respect and appreciate the humanity of the person sitting next to me, and I'm not going to devalue them in a way that dehumanizes them, because all means all. And so as we continue to build out this work that so many dedicated admin and staff members do, and I'm so excited about Journey Days, not just for our students and the opportunities. I got the email today about the XLP Journey Day opportunities, and wow, whether it's fire or police, we have this school district. I don't think people understand that Dorothy Lane just opened a month ago, not even, and this wonderful Girl Scout group has already built a relationship with them such that they are going to provide perishable goods that they weren't previously able to provide. We live in an integrated community that supports one another, and that is actually a rarity in this country. And so be very grateful and be very protective of what we have here, because it doesn't exist everywhere. And people call it the Mason bubble for a reason. My daughter is at college, and she's getting to broaden her horizon with people who didn't grow up where she did. And she will call me, and she's just like, wow, it's that eye-opening moment that, like, I grew up in a place that allowed me to thrive and think about who I could become, because we worried about safety and security, because we have integrated opportunities, because we don't let those people in the shadows languish. We find opportunities to serve them with the things that they need, and we don't make them feel less than in this community. We support them. And we do that, and that is what learning is. We learn to live together because we can. And so with that, I just ask that we all commit to living and learning and loving one another and respecting each other's humanity. And we can use our words. Words hurt. Words can cut. Words hurt. But we learn to respect the humanity of one another. And if we can do that, we will be a lot further along. And I will put this community with its flaws, but its hard work and its heart against any community in this country. And with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.